Feel the power coursing within me. Oh, hello immortal, and welcome to the first episode of an organic tutorial, where you get to learn how to do things like this. Well, not today though. Today I'm just going to teach you guys how to do the basics of video editing in Hitfilm Express. Sorry, you'll eventually get to stuff like this though. Okay, welcome to the tutorial, my viewers. So the first thing you're going to want to do is to actually download Hitfilm Express. You're going to search fxhome.com. And it should take you to this page. The next thing you're going to want to do is to go to products. And then go to Hitfilm Express, because the pro versions cost money. And Express you can get for free. You can either hit download Hitfilm Express or download free. Either one will take you to the same link. And right here is where you can change the price. You either type in the price here or drag this thing up and down the bar. We're only going to get the free version, so drag it all the way down to the all the way to the left. After you click download, it'll send you to this page. So right here you can either make an account where they send you a download link, or you can sign into an already existing account and it will take you to a page that has download links. And that's what I'm going to do. If you have an account already, it'll take you to a page that looks like this. And you can hit download whichever version of the computer you have. And I have a Windows, so I'm going to click that. And we just sit here and wait for it to download. Alright, once you've clicked the Hitfilm download, this box will pop up. And you're going to hit next. And you're going to accept the terms and the agreement. And usually I hit complete download because it's supposed to include not every feature that they have to offer, but everything that's supposed to come with the free version. I don't know what happens if you click any of these, so to be safe, just hit complete. That way you're sure you get everything you're supposed to get for the free version. And you're going to hit install, and you're going to wait for this thing to finish installing. Alright, when it takes you to this, there actually was no this. So in this part of the video, I thought the screen recorder was going to show you a certain part of the installation process, but it didn't. And that part is where the computer has a pop-up message where the software is asking for permission to make changes to your computer. You're going to want to hit yes so that you can actually install the software. Anyways, carry on, and it's going to continue installing. Alright, when it's finished installing, this box will pop up, and you're going to make sure this box is checked, and you're going to hit finish. Alright, for any first time Hitfilm Express installers, your screen should look exactly like this. Except the recovered projects might not pop up for you because you've never had any recovered projects. Me, however, I have. And also this white box should pop up, and you're going to want to hit activate and unlock. And it's going to ask you to sign in. By the way, if you don't go with the sign-in process, if you skip this process, when you export your videos, they will have a big watermark over them. I don't know exactly why. I guess they really want you to make an account with them. So once you sign in, you won't have any watermarks over your exported or finished videos. I don't know about you guys, but whenever I signed in, it's going to ask me to close the software and restart, probably just to get everything set up that I already had on here before. But for first timers, I'm not really sure what it's going to do, but you still need to sign in so that you don't get a watermark over your whole video when you export. Alright, mine has restarted and I have the dark theme available. If you just got the free version, the dark theme is not available, by the way. What you're going to want to do is to make a new project, and you're going to want to click new right here, and it'll take you to this, and this is where you can change the resolution and frame rate and the duration. And these are all the different resolution settings here. I usually just either do 1080p or 4K. I never really touched the other types of resolutions here. For the sake of this tutorial, just do 1080p, and the duration's default is always going to start at 5. You can change it here by clicking and dragging left or right. And I'm gonna go hit restore to defaults just to put everything back to default. Down here in this video box right here, this is where you can make custom changes to the resolution and frame rate. And this is where you can make audio changes, I guess, for the audio quality. These are the rendering settings. Again, I'll leave these at the default. I've never really changed anything for these, and I've experienced no problems or issues, so I'll just leave it the same. And once you're done with all your settings, you're gonna want to hit OK. Alright, this is the new project, or Untitled project. And first I'm going to go over some settings that I think are really important when it comes to using Hitfilm Express. So to go to the settings, you go to File and click on Options. And these are all the different settings that you could change with the software. First things first, the maximum amounts of undos I can do is 300, which is the most. And I want it to be at the most just in case I really need to undo what I've done by a lot. And the default templates are right here. See, not only can you change it at the start, but you could change it during your project or during your editing. And right here, the plain text image default duration is basically saying how many frames you want your images and text to be when you place them in, because originally an image or a piece of text doesn't have any frame rate like a video because it's just 1 frame. So this will automatically set it to 150 frames long in the editor timeline when you place it in there. By the way, the editor timeline is this area right here with the name editor, and you could drag and drop your videos and audio into here. And here, if you didn't download the free version but you paid for an extra version, then you get the dark theme available. If you only had a free version, you won't see this option in here in the interface tab. These are the voiceover settings. I don't know if this is in the free version or not, but in my version you can record voiceovers during your editing, and you can select where you want those voiceovers to be stored. And autosave is a very important one I want to go over, and make sure it's enabled. And I have mine set to every minute that it autosaves, because that's the most often it can save. And the least often is 30 minutes, but you want to have to save as often as possible automatically, because that will really help if you forget to save your projects. And I forget that sometimes. Even though if you exit, it'll ask if you want to save, but sometimes your computer might shut down out of nowhere, or it crash and it won't autosave. So make sure you have autosave enabled and set to every minute to get the most often autosaves. And ooh, that sounded weird. I had a bubble in my throat. And last but not least, one of the other important options I believe to be is the shortcuts here. If you forget any shortcuts, you can look them up here. You can also change them by double clicking on any of these keys or these functions here and changing it by tapping something on the keyboard. But if you ever make a change you don't like, you can just hit that arrow to restore. And in the activation settings, you can deactivate the program, which will basically sign you out, and you won't have access to any of the features that you have purchased or downloaded. But you can always get them back by reactivating when you start up the software again. And you can also go to the Hitfilm store from here. And right here it shows all the activated features that I have and the disabled features. So after all that, hit OK. The next thing you need to do to edit a video is first you actually need some video and audio to edit. So we're gonna go to import and left click, and we're going to search for a video, and we're also going to search for our audio as well. Okay, now that you got your audio and your videos into the media panel here, the next thing you're going to want to do is trim them or shorten them to whatever length you want. Or yeah, so I actually want the beginning of this video to stay at the beginning, but if you want to start it somewhere else, you could actually click somewhere in the video by clicking on this blue bar here, or if you're using the free version, it'll be an orange bar. You click it, left click here, and that dot will snap to wherever you click. That's basically the marker of where the video is. And you click there or wherever you want to start, and you click on this button called set endpoint, or you could type I on the keyboard. And once you do that, this space of blue or orange, depending on which version you're using or which theme you're on, will go away, meaning that part of the video is no longer included when you drag and drop it into the timeline. And to set to endpoint, you could pick a spot that you want the video to end, and you can go to this button next to endpoint. It's called the set out point, and you can type O on the keyboard or click it. And now all that stuff is gone and it won't be included. Now you can still scrub through and see it, but once you drag and drop it into the timeline, it won't be there anymore. It'll just be the section that you wanted. All right, now that we got the video we wanted, we're gonna drag and drop it into the timeline, or you can click here to insert the clip. Now I'm just gonna insert the clip here, and it might look like nothing much has happened. After you click set endpoint, you can see the video on the timeline, but the screen right here is black for some reason. And you might be wondering why. That's because your video player head, this big line right here that marks where the video is on the timeline, is at the very end of the clip, which is going to be nothing. So once you start dragging it back, you'll actually see the video. So what you want to do is to go back to the beginning, and now you can see your video. So next we're going to want to put our music in. So click on your music or whatever type of audio you added into your media panel, and we're going to figure out which part of the song we want. By the way, I actually do want this video to begin where it actually began. So I'm gonna drag it out here just to get some space. And to stretch the clip, you're gonna want to hover over to the edge of it to where that green symbol pops up, and you're gonna click and drag as much as you can if you want to go to the very start. And that's as much as it can go, so I'm gonna drag it back. You can also do the same to the end of the clip. You can stretch it or shrink it by going to the edge and clicking and dragging when you see that green symbol. But I'm gonna leave it back where it was. Back to the music. So once you've selected the section of the music that you want, you can either click insert clip or B on your keyboard, or you can just drag and drop. I'm gonna show you how to drag and drop. If you drag and drop this, it's gonna put in the whole song. Also, as you notice here, that there's not really any space to put it except for after. So the music won't be overlaid on top of the other audio. It would actually play at the end, or if you put this on top of it, it'll cut out some of the audio from the video, but you don't really want that. So what we need is more space for more audio files. So I'm gonna undo that by going up here and clicking undo, and we're gonna add another audio track so that we have more room for audio. So you're gonna right click audio 1 and you're gonna click insert track. Now you have more space for your audio. So now you can actually drag and drop this into the audio track and not cover up any of the audio from there. So now the audio and the audio from the video will play along together. And that's like really loud. So if you want to change the volume of your audio, each audio thing has a white bar here in the middle of the file, and you can just go over to it and drag it down. I'm gonna drag it down to where it says about maybe 15, negative 15 at the bottom there, or close to it. That's fine right there. So now the music won't be too loud. You can do the same thing to the audio for the video here. So I can drag that up or down.
You made Shinzo pretty pissed about not having his money yet, so he sent me here to persuade you.
Alright, enough of that. As you can see here, the entire song has been dropped, and not just the part that we want. So if you want the part that you want to be drag and dropped, you either hit insert clip, or you can actually go up here. Don't drag this part, but to go up here and click and drag that, it'll show that little icon, because you can't drop it there, but you can drop it in here. Alright, so it took away some of the audio there. We're gonna remove this anyways because we don't need that, and we're just gonna keep the section that we wanted. And I'm gonna bring that volume back down by clicking this white bar and bringing it down. So now that you got your desired length of your audio and video into the timeline here, actually I'm gonna shrink this video even more. Alright, now that you got your desired lengths here, let's say that you're happy with what you got, but you want to save it just in case. Let's say that you don't have autosave going, or you would just want to make a name for this project so that you don't lose it. You can go to File and click Save, or you could just hit Control S on your keyboard before clicking File in the first place, and it will bring you to this. And this is where you can create a name for the project. I'm going to call this Beginner Tutorial. Now that you saved your project and you gave it a name, if you want to change the name, you can click File again and go to Save As, or you can just type in on the keyboard Control Alt S, and here it allows you to change the name. If you were to hit Save As and save it under the save name, it'll ask if you wanted to replace the file that already exists under that name. Most times that the case is that you do want to do that, so click yes. Hopefully you went into the settings and set your autosave to every minute here, because that'll be very helpful. Alright, so some more things that you can do to these videos and audios here in the timeline is slicing. If you right click and then go to slice, it'll cut the video, and you can actually drag the other piece away from that slice, and there you have an empty space. Or you can maybe, let's leave that slice there and make another, I guess, incision into the video by right clicking and going to slice, or pressing Ctrl Shift D on your keyboard, and now you have this small section separate from the rest of the videos. And let's say you want to get rid of that, you can just right click and hit remove, and now there is a empty space in between these. You can just fill that gap by clicking and dragging that together, or let's undo by hitting Control Z on the keyboard or going up here to hit undo. Let's undo one more time. Let's say that you not only want to remove this, but you want the gap to be filled at the same time. To do that, you can do a ripple delete, and to do that you right click and just click ripple delete, and there, it takes care of the empty space for you. So we're going to undo because I don't actually want to do that to the video. Let's fix it. Undo again. There we go. One thing you might notice is that this might look very crunched in on the timeline. So if you want to see everything in, I guess, a bigger space, or you want to see the space between the waveforms and the audio better, then you can go down here to the timeline scale and drag this dot as much as you need to make everything bigger, and you can see everything a little bit better in the timeline. One other thing you can do to your videos by right clicking is unlinking. Currently the video and audio here are linked together because they were one thing before you dropped it in here, but you can separate them, and you can tell that they're linked by this symbol right here. But when you right click and hit unlink or Control Shift Slash on your keyboard, that symbol is no longer there. That means they're not linked anymore. So even if you drag it, they're still together. That's because they were both highlighted from when you right clicked it. Just click on an empty space here in the timeline, and now they're not highlighted anymore, and now you can separately drag or move any of these. And one other way you can highlight things together is to drag the mouse from an empty spot in the timeline and go over everything, or everything that you want to include, and now they're all together, but they're not linked, so they won't stay together if you click the empty space again. Another way to group things together is to hold Control, left click on the top, but not this part. That'll do something else, but like above the white lines here near the names, you hit Control and left click, and now they're together until you click an empty space again. And you can do the same thing for all these. So just hit Control, and if you hold Control and click it again, it'll unselect the thing you're clicking. So now these are together until you click an empty space in the video. And just so that I can hear the video better, I'm gonna mute the music here just for now. And to do that, you go over to audio track 2 and hit the speaker, and now the music is gone. Not forever, you can turn it back on if you need to.
Crap, you found me!
One other thing that you can change on the video is the opacity, and you can do that by clicking and dragging this white bar right here. If you drag it down, things become darker. That's because the video is becoming more see-through or more clear, and the background behind it is black, so that's what makes it darker when you decrease the opacity. Let's say you change the background to a red or any other color background. You can go to options and go to background color, and I'm just gonna make it red and click OK. Now when you drag the opacity down, the video is becoming more transparent and everything's becoming more red because it's less opaque, and when it's completely opaque, you can see the video fully. I'm gonna change the background back to black. Some other things that you could change about these videos and audios in the timeline is if you left click any of these and then go to controls, that'll give you different types of options you could change about the video or the thing that you selected. You can change the positions with these two options right here, the anchor point and position points. You can change the scale of it and the rotation. Let's just give you an example. The anchor point changes to position. If you drag this one left or right, it goes left or right. If you drag this one left or right, it goes up or down. But the controls for that are kind of inverted, so it's like opposite. If you do this one left or right, it actually goes left or right. And if you drag this one left, it goes down, and if you drag it right, it goes up. And if you don't like what you did, you can just hit reset by right clicking and hitting reset. And here's the scale. You can increase or decrease it by dragging any of these and going left or right. Right will take you into the video and zoom in, and left will shrink it. You can also go to negative values and it'll flip the video. So if you put it at negative 100%, it'll be at the full scale, but it'll be upside down. Let's hit right click and reset. One other thing you can do is to click any of these. It'll work in any of these options if you click them and type in a number that you want. And you probably noticed that these two values here are linked because the link symbol is there. If you click it, they're unlinked now. So if you change this or this, they change separately. This will change the width now if you drag left or right, and this will change the height if you drag left or right. But I'm gonna reset all that. You can also change the rotation by going to the circle and left clicking and dragging, in the direction of a circle, and this number right here tells you how many rotations you did, and this number right here tells you what angle you're in. So I'm gonna right click and hit reset. You can also rotate it just by left clicking and dragging on this number right here, or typing in whatever number you want. And in the controls panel, you can also control the opacity. This might be much more simple than trying to find that thin white line on the video, or if it's hard to see, you can just go to controls and do it. Now the control options in the control panel for the audio that you're using will be a little different or more limited. The only thing you can control in the control panel for audio is the volume. You could control it by dragging this dot left or right, or take these numbers up or down by going left or right. So we're gonna reset that, and I'm gonna put it back at it was near 7. That's where I had it. I'm gonna put it back there. All right, one other feature that I really like doing and that I find really useful is the keyframing. Jeez, I keep burping. Now keyframes are the key, I don't like what I did. The key to animation or animating things. So this is very simple, but let's say you want to animate the opacity. And by that, I mean, what if you want the video to fade in and fade out? Or what if you want your audio to fade in and then fade out? You could do that with keyframes. So to make a keyframe, you're going to want to hold control and go over to your video or audio. And to add a keyframe, you just left click somewhere on the video, anywhere that's below this white line. If you go above it, the plus symbol or cross goes away. But you're going to want to hold control, go below the white line, and click anywhere. That will create a blue diamond. And that diamond is a keyframe. So you want the video to fade in, so let's drag this diamond to the start of the video, and you want the video to start off blank or black. So we're going to drag this all the way down, and we want it to fully fade in at about 1 second. So if I drag the player head here, it'll let you know how much time has passed. So it says here at about, this is at about 1 second. I'm going to increase the timeline scale so I can see things a little bit better. So this is about 1 second right here. I'm going to hold control and add another keyframe. The next keyframe you add will be at the same level that the last one you added, but you can change it still. And I'm going to drag it all the way up to 100% opacity. Now, as you can see, the opacity fades in, or the video fades in. And let's say that you want the video to fade out at the end. To really quickly go to the end of your video, you can either drag the player head, or you can go down here to this bar and left click and drag it. There it is. And I'm gonna click the timeline bar right here where you shows time codes, and when I left click it, the player head automatically snaps to that position. So if I click anywhere, it snaps there. And one thing I just noticed, I have the audio set to 12 decibels high, as you can see in that number in that blue box, and I don't want it that high. So I can either drag this keyframe down back to where I want it, or we can go to controls and click on the thing we want to change and go to the point in the video that we want to change. In this case, that keyframe. So left click and go back to a control panel and go to this number here and drag it to where I want it. And as you may notice, this blue dot is there, but it wasn't there before. If you left click it, all your keyframes go away, but they're not forever lost if you just undo by holding Control and Z. Let's say I click that blue dot again. I can make new keyframes by clicking that circle right there. Any setting in the controls panel that has that circle means that you can create a keyframe for that setting. I'm not going to do it for those, but you can see here, if it were to show it, then a keyframe has just been created for this type of setting here. But we don't want that. We want all our keyframes back from earlier. So I'm gonna press Control Z a bunch of times until I get back to where I was. All right, we're back to where we were. Okay, so now you know how to keyframe. And let's say you got your desired keyframes in. One other thing that I would like to tell you how to do is the effects. I'm not going to go over every single effect here, obviously that's like way too much, but I will go over the pitch effect since it's related to audio. To search an effect, you can just type in whatever effect you want here. Don't go crazy now. You're not gonna find anything because they don't have every single effect ever in here. So don't type in big booty bitches and think you're gonna get it. What? So if you left click the effect and drag it, you can drop it into any of your audios. I'm gonna want to change the pitch of the audio of the video just for comedy's sake. So now the effect is in the audio, and it'll bring you automatically to the control panel once you drop it in there. So this is the pitch effect, and you can cancel or turn off the effect by checking that box and turn it back on by leaving it checked. You can also keyframe this effect, and that's what we're gonna do here today. We're gonna keyframe it just a little bit. So I'm gonna go to the section of the video that I want to keyframe, preferably to when they start talking. So the effect that I'm gonna teach you guys how to do today, or I guess this is the bonus effect I'm gonna teach you how to do. It is something that I used to see or hear, here in memes that I used to watch. It's like a wobbly sound effect. I guess it's on TikTok too, where they make a voice sound very wobbly. But we're gonna do something similar to that. You know, when people talk like when people talk like this. I don't know if that's correct, but we're gonna do that effect with the pitch effect. So if you just click the circle here to create a keyframe, if you tried to create a keyframe on here, it wouldn't do it for the pitch, it'll just do it for the audio's volume. Because for some reason, effects don't have keyframes that you can see in the editor timeline. But the beautiful thing is, if you create a composite shot timeline, you will be able to see the keyframes for effects. But we're only editing in the editor timeline today. I will show you guys what you can do in the composite timeline. Composite timeline. I will show you what you could do in that type of timeline in the future, which is going to be so exciting because you could do so much with a composite shot timeline. Now that you have your keyframe set, you're just gonna wish and hope that you know where it is, or you could just drag along the footage and until you see this circle get filled with a blue dot, now you can tell where your keyframe is. But I mean, for this effect, you don't really have to be perfect. So I'm gonna go up a few frames. By the way, I forgot to go over this. I'm so stupid. To go frame by frame, you can look at these arrows here and click them. This is the next frame, this is the previous frame, or you can click the period on your keyboard and the comma to go backwards on your keyboard. You can also do the same thing in the trimmer here. Let's go back to the media panel. You can go by frame, just like you could do here. So let's go back to controls and let's find that keyframe. All right, it starts here. Let's go up a few frames. You're gonna kind of see what I'm doing here. Basically what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go by every frame and move the pitch up, and go by another frame and move the pitch down, so it creates a variation in the pitch, which creates that wobbly sounding effect. That really hurt my hand. Damn. This is a reward for sitting through the entire video and learning the basics. You get to watch the final product of what I have just created.
No.
You might find this vaguely entertaining, maybe.
Now, how about you go tell your imprisoned boss to bring his right back?
This is probably like a fever dream for some of you. You're probably like, what the heck is going on? Yeah, right here I just gave up and left the pitch to be very low. Alright, that's enough of that. So let's say that you finished with your beautiful Frankenstein monster of a creation and you want to finish baking this cake in the oven, if you know what I'm saying. You're going to want to export. So in order to export, let's first go to the beginning of our video and set the endpoint, or the beginning, just like we did in the trimmer here. I mean, that doesn't really do anything because that's the beginning anyway, so setting an endpoint there won't change a thing. And we're gonna go to right about wherever this gets pointless, or maybe the whole video, just kidding. Left click on set out point, or type O on your keyboard, and now you have your endpoint and out point set, and everything in the timeline here at the top, if you look at these time codes, are blue. That's what's included in your export. Everything out here is not included anymore, and you can see the same result here but a little bit smaller. So now that you've done that, you can click export, and you're gonna make sure you want this. You're gonna make sure I can't talk. You're gonna want to make sure that you have the correct preset here. I usually just do YouTube 1080p or YouTube 4K down here. I got it set to YouTube 1080p. That's where I want it, and I clicked on it. But you could just go back to export, and after you set your preset, you can go to either add it to your Quay or Q. I don't know if it's pronounced Quay or Q. I say Quay, okay? Don't get mad at me, but I say Quay. And if you add it to your Quay, you can put it in a list of things that are meant to be exported. But you don't want to do that. You want to export this thing right now, like right now. So go to export now and go to in and out area. And that just means it'll export whatever you set the in and out point to. So if you left click, all that's going to be exporting. And this is the progress bar here. And it's starting. Just give it a second here and it'll start exporting. And down here you can see the progress that it's set, or wherever frame or wherever part of the clip it's set. And right here you can see how much time is remaining. And you probably heard a ding. That's because I have my alarm set to go off whenever things are done exporting, which is very nice and handy. To make sure that thing is set up to ring when it's done exporting, you go to File, Options, and go to Export, and make sure beep speaker on completion is checked. Now that that's done, you want to go to the file's location to open it and watch the video. So you go to this little link here, left click, and it'll open up the file or open up the folder where your video's located. Alright, that's it for this one, y'all. I hope you guys really enjoyed this, and I hope that this was actually helpful to any beginners out there. And I also hope that this really inspired some of you to go out there and make videos of your own. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace. Wait, hold up. Can you actually believe that this outro took me about maybe 30 takes to get down? Yeah. Alright, see ya.